Welcome back, collectors. Today we're starting a brand new series, The Collector's Guide to Flesh and Blood. In each episode, I'll take you through one set at a time, covering everything from pull rates to key cards, long-term outlook and collectability. And where better to begin than Welcome to Rathe, also known as WTR, the set that started it all. Whether you are a player, collector or investor, there are some real gems to be known in this set. Welcome to Rathe, released in October 2019 as the launch set for Flesh and Blood. It introduced the game's very first heroes, Katsu, Reiner, Dorinthia and Bravo. The set contains 226 cards across several rarities, including Fabled, Legendary, Majestic, Super Rare, Rare and Common. There are two printings, First Edition, which contains cold foils, and Unlimited, which replaced those cold foils with rainbow foils. First Edition sealed boxes are now highly sought after, whilst Unlimited gave a wider access for players. So what are your chances of pulling the big hits in Welcome to Rathe? Well, let's go through it. So Fabled are 1 in 960 packs, roughly 10 cases. Legendaries are around 1 per case, aka 1 per 96 packs. Majestics, you're looking at around 1 to 2 per box, roughly 1 in every 12 packs. And super rares are roughly 1 in every 6 packs, you're looking at about 4 to 5 per box. Rares, you're going to get 1 to 2 per pack. Also included will be a rainbow foil in every single pack, and that can be any rarity. And remember, in the first edition boxes, these legendary equipment are going to come in cold foil that are some of the most collectible and valuable cards in the game today. Now let's talk about some of the key Majestics and Super Rares in this set for every single class. So starting off with Warrior, we have Steelblade Supremacy and Glint the Quicksilver, both very powerful cards for Dorinthia as well as Warriors. For Brute, you've got Bloodrush Bellow and Sand Sketched Plan. For Guardian, you've got Spinal Crush and Cranial Crush. And Ninja, you've got cards such as Extra Empowerment and Pounding Gale. And for Generic, finally, you've got famous cards such as the Tome of Fiendal and the Enlightened Strike, which today is one of the most powerful cards in the card game. Now, outside of the higher rarities, there are some iconic cards that have seen play throughout the years. That includes Sigil of Solace, Sink Below, Scar for Scar, and Snatch. Now, there are a couple of cards that are banned from play, including the Tome of Fiendal, which we've already talked about, but also the Drone of Brutality. Now this can only be pulled in first edition as well as the Belgian print of Unlimited. When it was banned, it was not in the reprint for Japanese print. So what makes Welcome to Rathe so collectible? First and foremost, cold foils. When you've got cold foils such as Mask of Momentum, Heart of Fiendal and the Fiendal Spring Tunic, there are only a limited amount of copies of each of these cards. There are around 418 of each Fabled cold foil, and around 835 of each legendary cold foil. When you put that into perspective, you look at the pop reports for some of the earlier cards for Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, they are in the hundreds and potentially thousands. Now when you think there are only 835 of each legendary cold foil, and it is around 1 per case, and there's 5 legendaries, it makes you realise just how rare these cards are. All of these cards are Grail tier collectibles. Their scarcity combined with their importance to gameplay makes them incredibly sought after. Now secondly, sealed. Both first edition boxes and Unlimited are fairly hard to come by. First edition boxes of Alpha are $2,000 upwards, cases even rarer, and sealed Unlimited boxes are around $100 plus, and cases again still quite difficult to find. And thirdly, graded. Graded cards have increased in popularity over the last couple of years, thanks to companies such as TCG Grading, who work alongside Flesh and Blood to grade cards at events, as well as all of the locations around the world. Now, knowing that the Heart of Fiendal, the Legendaries and the common cold foils in this set are extremely rare, when graded, they are even rarer, and that adds an extra allure to collecting. Because this was the very first Flesh and Blood set ever made, it carries the same kind of prestige as sets as Alpha and Beta in Magic and base set in Pokemon, as well as the Legend of Blue Eyes in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's history in cardboard form. So how has Welcome to Rathe aged over time? Now, whether you are collecting sealed, graded, or doing binder sets, these cards are aging like a fine wine, whether it is first edition or Unlimited. The lack of availability of so many of these cards make collectors treat these as museum piece collectibles. Old foils remain as highly sought after collector pieces. Now we know what it is to be a collector, the yearn to complete things, the yearn to be a part of something, and Flesh and Blood simply has it all. Whether it is graded, whether it is binders, whether it is sealed, whether it is decks, there is no end to what you can complete and what you can collect in Flesh and Blood. I personally like collecting one of every single Fabled. I also like to have one of every cold foil legendary if I can. Now, we know that that is quite difficult these days. Cards have become extremely expensive. But starting from the most expensive cards and working your way down, I think is a great way to do it. For collectors, first edition is the crown jewel. Sealed first edition boxes are upwards in the thousands, whilst unlimited remains far more accessible, but even unlimited is starting to dry up as collectors stash away sealed products. Now, one detail that collectors often overlook is condition. Early Flesh and Blood cards had centering issues, surface issues, and corner issues, straight from the pack. That means that high-grade example ESA, BGS, and PCG 9.5s and 10s are much rarer than you'd actually think. To wrap up, Welcome to Rathe is the foundation of Flesh and Blood collecting. The cold foils, the fabled Heart of Fiendal, the iconic Majestics, and those early sealed boxes all make this set one of the most important TCG sets. So what is the long-term outlook? Well, first edition cold foil, rainbow foils, and sealed are already established as blue chip collectibles. Think of them like alpha and first edition base set holos. Key Majestics in foils, underappreciated now, but they'll be only become harder to obtain as years to come. An interesting wildcard piece of information for Alpha is the fact that the red pitch cards came in pink stripe, and that was due to a printing error. The only card in the set that was printed in red instead of pink was Razor Reflect. This was never replicated again up until recently when they did in fact do a promo in a Gem Series pack for the Razor Reflect in the pink strip. That's it for episode 1. Next time we'll be going into Arcane Rising, the set that introduced Arcane Damage, Azalea, and some of the most beautiful and collectible cold foils in this game today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. What is the card that you want from this set the most, and what is your favourite card from this set?